The extreme frost apocalypse has arrived. I'm lying on the sofa chilling and eating spicy hot pot, casually pulling my ex-boyfriend and my best friend, who are on the brink of survival, into a group chat, then sending a video clip, "Want a bite?" The extreme cold that once left me numb is suddenly replaced by a piercing heat. Someone pushes me, "Vu tu nien." "Hurry it up, you're slow." I open my eyes in shock, only to discover I'm standing right in front of the office gate. The colleague behind me is super annoyed because I'm blocking the way. I instinctively check my phone. August 13th. I've actually been reborn to 20 days before I was killed. My mood is incredibly complex. I'm itching to rush over and beat that scumbag couple to a pulp. In my past life, I found out my boyfriend Hao Qian and my best friend Trin Jai were having an affair, and simultaneously uncovered their plot to scam me out of money and my life. So they got angry and pushed me out the door. But in my wildest dreams, I never expected that while it was only September, a massive freak blizzard would strike. The temperature plummeted to -70 degrees overnight, and I froze to death right on the doorstep. In my final moments of agony and fading consciousness, I swore that if there were a next life, I would definitely make that scumbag couple pay the price. I quickly calmed myself down, recalling the sudden massive blizzard before my death, that freakish, terrifying event. This summer has been unreasonably hot, and everyone has had to live off of C units. It wasn't until late August that it finally got a bit cooler, but who could have guessed that by September, I'd be frozen solid. Therefore, my most urgent priority right now isn't to go find that scumbag couple for revenge, but to figure out how to survive through an unknown duration of extreme life-threatening cold weather. I immediately submit my resignation to the company leadership, then return to the apartment I share with Hao Qian to pack up all my important belongings. But I don't leave in a hurry. On the way back, I've already thought it through. Even if I leave, I can't let him live comfortably. I take out a few pieces of identification, and first, I download a few loan apps on my phone, then enter all of Hao Qian's information. After that, I cook a table full of delicious food, sitting and waiting for Hao Qian to get off work. Hao Qian walks in from work, seeing me happy and a whole table of food, and is pleasantly surprised. I tell him I intend to sell the house my parents left me, to buy the house he likes as our wedding home. Hao Qian and Trin Jai have always been plotting how to trick me into selling my parents' house, to swindle me out of my money. Seeing that I finally agreed to sell, he happily rushes over to kiss me. "Let's eat." I've already taken a year off work. I need to go find a broker tomorrow morning. While eating, I take out my phone wanting to record a funny video with him. Since he wants to bait me into selling the house, he's compliant, blinking when I say blink, nodding when I say nod. Seeing that the apps have transferred over 1 billion Vietnamese dong into my account, I delete the apps, smile, and put the phone down. I couldn't record it. Forget it. We both enjoy the meal quite happily. The atmosphere is at times incredibly harmonious. The next day after Hao Qian goes to work, I pack up my things. Before leaving, I install a covert battery-powered surveillance camera in a hidden spot in the living room. Before they passed, my parents left me 2 properties, one in the school district in the city center, which I'd rented out since I started boarding in high school. The other is a villa outside the city, which has a basement perfect for stockpiling supplies. The house has been empty for a long time. I hire cleaners and contemplate how to arrange things to withstand that deadly, cold weather. In such a massive blizzard, water pipes will definitely freeze and burst, and power lines will be snapped by the weight. Relying on floor heating or AC to stay warm will be impossible. I order a non-electric heater online, one with a chimney that vents outside, so I don't need to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. After the workers finish the installation, the next step is to buy a massive amount of firewood and charcoal. By the time I finish these preparations, it's already dark. Hao Qian calls, gently asking about the house sale. I give him a few vague answers and hang up. This man is a great actor. His mouth is full of sweet nothings, yet he hasn't even noticed my belongings disappearing. He must be celebrating with Trin Jai, thinking he finally tricked me into selling the house. But right now, I don't have the heart to pay him any mind. I have more important things to do. Early the next morning, I find workers and demand they replace all entrance doors and windows with bulletproof ones, installing electric grid fences outside the house, and paying extra to get it done within a week. Thinking about the power outage, I buy a generator, large quantity of candles, high-capacity power banks, matches, lighters, and windproof torches, canned fuel, dry alcohol, self-heating hot pots of all flavors, freeze-dried vegetables, compressed biscuits, drinking water, and 200 crates of bottled water, along with snacks, canned goods, and every type of medicine I can think of, plus gauze and antiseptic. I buy snow shovels, axes, and saws, along with various tools and self-defense weapons. By the time I settle all these supplies, there's only 1 week left until the extreme freeze. Before long, my phone rings. As expected, it's a call from Hao Qian. I open the surveillance camera I installed the day I left, watching him flirt with Trin Jai while calling me. "My dearest wife, my big baby." Then he aggressively kisses Trinjai on the cheek. Big baby, did you hear that your husband is kissing you? I heard it. Why do I feel like you're kissing a pig? Trinjai, who was in his arms, jumps up instantly, face full of rage, about to lash out at Hao Qian. Hao Qian hurriedly signals her to be quiet. Silly girl, you can't call yourself a pig. Oh right, have you seen Trinjai the past 2 days? Hao Qian immediately gets a bit tense, trying his best to wave his hands at Trinjai while saying, no way. Why would I see her? I immediately sound relieved. It's good you haven't seen her. The day before yesterday when I was leaving, I saw a woman who looked just like her with a short fat man, looking very intimate. Hopefully it wasn't her. Watching Hao Qian's face change on the monitor, Trinjai also shows panic. I smile gleefully and hang up. On the monitor, Hao Qian has started questioning her, while Trinjai swears that she absolutely hasn't been intimate with anyone else, insisting I'm slandering her. I watch them with a smirk on the monitor, their argument spiraling into chaos. I'm just curious how long it'll take for them to discover that my belongings are gone. I'm even more curious to see how Hao Qian will react when he discovers he's suddenly saddled with such a huge debt. The two of them only know my parents left me houses, but don't know the addresses, so even if they find out, they won't be able to find me? Thinking of his expression then, I'm looking forward to it. I turn off the surveillance. I go to the market to pick up the pork and beef I pre-ordered. When I get home, the aunties helping me cook are already waiting at the door. Everyone starts working the moment they enter, nimbly wrapping dumplings, wontons, and making meatballs. Homemade is definitely better, both in quality and hygiene, than store-bought. I don't want to get a stomachache from unsanitary food during the apocalypse. I've already rented 5 freezers to store the food. Once the freeze hits, the outside will be a natural cold storage. At that point, I won't be afraid even if the power goes out. The aunties are surprised, wondering why I'm wrapping so many dumplings. I tell them it's to donate to a nursing home. While wrapping, I chat with the aunties about the sudden surge in electricity prices, how people are rushing to buy firewood to survive the winter, and the scarcity of natural gas, making the winter heating problem unsolvable. The heating issue during winter cannot be resolved. These topics were discussed incredibly passionately. Finally, I put on a serious face. Even though everything is fine for us right now, to prevent any just-in-case scenarios, it's best we stock up on some charcoal. If we don't end up using it, no harm done. Having it at home brings peace of mind. The aunties, now deeply affected by the anxiety I had intentionally spread, all nodded. Right, it's definitely better to be prepared. I secretly let out a sigh of relief, hoping they would actually go buy it. The prolonged heat wave finally passed. Everyone welcomed the coolness they hadn't felt in ages, but I alone knew this was merely a tiny bit of sweetness before the apocalypse arrived. I started asking the aunties to prepare food for me, besides a portion of Napa cabbage, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, and various greens. The rest was all dried seaweed, dried chili, dried long beans, dried tofu skin, and such long-lasting items. After getting all that done, there were only 2 days left until the extreme freeze. Hao Qian finally discovered he was in debt. He called to ask me what was going on. I lay lazily on the sofa and said, "You're in debt." "I don't know, the money was all transferred to your card." "Are you still trying to deny it?" Hao Qian shouted in anger. "Money? Are you talking about the 1.23 billion Vietnamese dong you transferred to me a few days ago? Finally, you admit it." Hao Qian was so mad he jumped up, then reacted, "When did you transfer money to me?" I immediately replied with an incredibly shocked tone. "What, it was the night before I left. You said you were returning the money you borrowed. I even said there was no rush. But you said even brothers need clear books. If you borrowed, you must repay." Naturally, Hao Qian wouldn't admit it, screaming loudly on the other end, demanding I return the money immediately. Waiting until his intentional debt evasion was recorded, I had enough, so I hung up to go eat. The last peaceful days before the apocalypse, I cherished them dearly. I ate my favorite Sichuan dish, bought a huge bouquet of flowers. Living alone still requires a sense of ceremony. During that time, Hao Qian kept calling me, texting and swearing at me terribly. I didn't block him, nor did I reply. After all, his attention was currently consumed by rage, so he wouldn't notice that all the blankets and shoes in the apartment, all the clothes and shoes had been taken by me. On the final day of the countdown to the apocalypse, I checked the entrance doors and windows one last time. Before long, a call came through. It was Trinjai. I didn't answer. I opened the surveillance camera and Trinjai was indeed there, but it was clear the two no longer had that sweet atmosphere as before. Hao Qian was extremely furious, while Trinjai repeatedly over and over dialed the phone, but couldn't get through. She threw the phone down. I never expected her scheming to be so deep. For so many years, I didn't realize it at all. How are you so stupid? Whatever she tells you to do, you do it. Are you a pig? Wasn't it because I always said she was easy to fool? That she had no schemes? If not, why would I have trusted her so much? Are you blaming me? Trinjai suddenly turned grim. Could it be that what she said is true? That money, was it really borrowed from her? How is that possible? I fell asleep amidst their arguing. It's funny that even now, they still haven't discovered that the blankets, clothes, and shoes have disappeared. When I woke up, it was 3 a.m. I reached my hand out from under the blanket to feel the temperature. It was indeed much colder. I looked out the window. Everything outside was a solid white. Massive chunks, like cotton balls, were falling down. It was a heavy snow. The extreme frost apocalypse arrived right on schedule. I picked up my phone and opened the surveillance camera. Haokeen and Trinjai were wrapped tightly in thin blankets, huddled together. Why isn't there a single thick blanket? Why did it turn out like this? Haokeen trembled, shaking his head. It was always Vu Tianyan who packed these things. He suddenly froze. Wait, no. Vu Tianyan's things seem to have all disappeared. Well, you finally found out. Very soon they would discover that not only had blankets, clothes, and shoes disappeared, but the food was also gone. When I left, I had cleared out every single food ingredient in the house. Haokeen and Trinjai were both people who didn't cook. When I wasn't there, they always ordered takeout, so they absolutely hadn't noticed. There wasn't even any rice left in the house. I was laughing quite happily when the phone rang incessantly. It was Haokeen. I pressed receive. Vu Tianyan. I don't know if he was so angry he went insane. Perhaps because he was too furious, Haokeen suddenly choked up. Only heavy panting could be heard on the phone. How? Keen took a deep breath, trying to soften his voice. Vu Tianyan, what exactly are you trying to do? What are you talking about? You said you were going back to sell the house. That was actually a lie, right? You took all your belongings away. Actually, you never intended to return. Selling the house might not be a lie, but taking my things and having no intention of seeing you again, that's true. Haokeen, deep down, you always hoped I wouldn't return. Didn't you? What do you mean? Heh, if you had even a shred of care for me, you wouldn't have just discovered today that all my belongings had disappeared, and you couldn't have forgotten that I told you I was taking a 1-week annual leave, but that week passed long ago, yet you didn't ask why I hadn't returned. Saying that, I hung up, switched the phone to silent mode, and went back to sleep. By the time I woke up, it was 10 a.m. Opening my friend's feed, the news was flooding the world. Some people on the feed were immersed in the joy of the snow, but the majority were lamenting, why is the September weather so cold overnight? But regardless of whether they were happy or lamenting, no one had realized yet that this was a catastrophe. I walked to the living room watching the news while eating noodles. The noodles made my whole body feel warm. After finishing the bowl, I pondered for a moment. While the gas and electricity were still usable, I decided I should still use gas and electricity to take care of my living needs first. After all, who knew how long this freeze would last? It was better to save the firewood I had stockpiled. On the 7th day of the extreme freeze, the power was finally cut. I lit the heater, made a pot of spicy hot pot, then set up a group chat on my phone, added Haokeen and Trinjai, recorded a video of the hot pot, and sent it to the group. Want a bite? Then I opened the surveillance camera on the monitor. Haokeen and Trinjai were long since frozen, to the point of turning pale/blue. Seeing the video in the group, Haokeen typed frantically in the group, begging, even sending voice messages. Tianyan, I know I was wrong. Before I was the scum. Think of our past feelings and save us. Just one bite is enough. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. Trinjai was also crying her eyes out, constantly repenting in voice messages, saying she was blinded by lard/greed, looking at their ugly faces. I only found it incredibly satirical. In the past life, when they pushed me out the door, did they ever think about any affection? I didn't reply a single word, directly disbanded the group, then turned off the surveillance camera on my phone and started leisurely eating hot pot. The atmosphere was incredibly pleasant. Days passed by one by one. The extreme cold showed no signs of receding. The snow outside the window was higher than a person's waist. Relying on the stockpiled supplies and the heater, my life remained peaceful as ever. Every day I ate steaming hot food and watched the snow outside the window. Incredibly relaxed. Half a month later, I could no longer see the figures of Haokeen and Trinjai on the surveillance monitor. My heart didn't ripple at all. 3 months later, the extreme freeze finally gradually weakened. Rescue teams everywhere began searching for survivors. The devastated city also gradually recovered its vitality. Having experienced this apocalypse, I finally understood the beautiful life that belongs to me has only just begun. Thank you all for watching.